Hi, this is Christian in Drammen, Norway. And aside from their shameful knowledge of the band Aha, I love listening to Making Fun of MacGyver.
Tonight, MacGyver returns to Minnesota to help his old hockey coach take his high school team to the state championships and deal with the star player's nasty attitude. Hey, as long as no one tries to fix my nasty attitude, I'll keep on announcing for Making Fun of MacGyver. It's Making Fun of MacGyver, a rib-tickling takedown of our favorite 80s adventure show, SCTV. No, it's MacGyver, starring Sam Jordan as the skeptic and Jeffrey Hess as the scientist.
Name's MacGyver.
Welcome, everybody, to Making Fun of MacGyver, the show where we recap, review, and lovingly ridicule every episode of the original series. If you love MacGyver and you love laughing, you came to the right place. Kick back, relax. We're glad you're here. I'm Sam Jordan, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by my fellow MacGyverite, the boy inside the penalty box, Jeffrey Hess.
Wow, that's like a boy in the bubble reference. Wow.
And hockey.
Tripping.
Yeah, a lot of things.
I'm gonna call a tripping foul on that one.
But I have a question for you. Are you ready to see, Jeff, more pucks than a weekend marathon of the real world San Francisco?
I'm ready to handle the stick.
Do you like that reference? And do you get it?
Don't get it.
Remember MTV's The Real World?
Oh, yeah, that was like the first season, wasn't it?
This is like the third or fourth season.
Yeah.
This is like the third season, The Real World. And there was a jerky character, the guy named Puck.
Yeah, who's probably named for the Shakespeare character.
Well, don't quote Shakespeare on me right now.
Oh, well, yeah, wide is a cellar door, nor deep is a well. No, Puck is the famous, he's like a trickster from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But are you ready to see more pucks than either of those things we talked about?
Yes. Hit me with the knuckle puck, baby.
Good, because we're moments away from Making Fun of MacGyver. It's our 76th episode. It's the 57th episode of MacGyver we're taking on. And tonight we're talking about MacGyver Season 3, Episode 13, Thin Ice.
Blades of Steel.
Ooh.
Do you know that one?
That's Nintendo or Super Nintendo, though, not Sega.
It's just regular Nintendo Entertainment System. Blades of
Nothing
Steel.
quite like that 8-bit sound card.
Oh my God, what a good video game. It's such a good video game. I can't say enough about Blades of Steel. But before we get into all that, it's time for our opening gambit. How sweet it is. How you feeling?
I'm terrific. I'm so excited for summer to come back. I am absolutely over the winter. So this will be a nice way to end it. We'll end it with the cold. We'll end it with the Winter Olympic style sport.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to put a quick thanks out there to some social media support we've received recently. We get not a lot of it, so it's pretty easy to keep track of who does it. And we really thank you guys. On Facebook, some of these people are like newish, or maybe we haven't mentioned in a while, but Chad from Omaha, Nebraska, I think he's new. Mirva from Porvoo, Finland. And we learned a long time ago to not laugh off people from faraway countries thinking it's spam or it's fake. So Mirva from Porvoo, Porvoo, Finland. Maybe Christian from Norway knows her. He probably does because there's, So thank you, Mirva. Patty in Austin, Texas. Robbie in Middlebury, Connecticut. Michael T. chimed in recently or gave us a like recently. So if you have ever liked, shared, commented, rated us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, followed us, or even listen. If you listen, you know what? A sincere thank you from me and Jeff. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Hey, if you listen to the show, but you don't follow us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, you are missing out on some more entertainment. Just search Making Fun of MacGyver on those platforms, like or follow or subscribe to us, and you will be entered into a drawing. Jeff, tell them more about that drawing that they'll be entered into.
It's an exciting drawing. It will be drawn by my 4-year-old son. He will do it in whatever medium you like, as long as it's finger paint watercolor or like crayon. But he will find your face on Facebook and we'll make sure that you get a drawing of yourself done by my 4-year-old.
And if you'd like to put something into the tip jar to help push us forward with the power of tangible love and get the sweet perks that come with it, go to patreon.com/makingfunofmacgyver. Jeff, there comes a time in every man's life when he must look deep within his soul, take inventory of the emotions that he finds, and make the important decisions that will forever alter the course of his life. This is not that time, however.
Oh, okay.
It's just time for some viewer mail.
Too short.
Too short again. Yes. Jennifer in New Jersey writes, hello, Jennifer. She says, love the interviews with Bruce McGill and Lee David's Load Off. We did those now like about a year ago, over a year ago. They both seem like really down-to-earth guys, but what about Alyssa Davalos? Can you get her on the show? Or the elephant in the room, Richard Dean Anderson?
Getting interviews with people who have like initials for names is not very easy, and Richard is kind of notoriously reclusive. And I've kind of always seen it as like, we're going to culminate, we're going to have all this time, and then like the big show-stopping finale, we're going to have an interview with Richard Dean Anderson. In part because of the difficulty and because of his status and everything, that seemed the way to do it.
Right. Now, Alyssa Davalos, you know who else asked? Christian from Norway said, what about Alyssa Davalos? Because we're talking a lot about this Nikki Carpenter character. We did look into it. It's hard to find her contact information. So if anyone has a pipeline to Alyssa Davalos, let us know. And soon, before her character is gone.
Well, she allegedly lives in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, we got that. But as far as Richard Dean Anderson, the crown jewel in a MacGyver podcast, I mean, that's the holy grail, right? He's known to be a private man. He's enjoying a life out of the spotlight, and it's just not our style, me and Jeff's, to try and hunt him down and pester him and tell him we have a show that ridicules, albeit lovingly, his big TV show. So
right, you would have to be like a borderline pee in jars level lunatic to try and find him. I think
the only way we get an interview with Richard Dean Anderson is to get like overly aggressive in a weird celebrity hounding kind of way that a borderline obsessed freak. Only a borderline obsessed freak would ever do.
Hey, Sam, Jeff.
What?
Hey,
shit. Mike Garland.
Wow. We were just talking about
What are you doing here?
Well, I heard borderline obsessed freak and thought that might be my time to chime in. How you guys been?
You didn't even ring the bell. You just barged through the door.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone rings the bell.
No bell ringing this time around. We've just gone right on in.
It's a mic-shaped hole in the wall.
It's the return of Mike Cream Me Again Garland to the show.
Cream
everybody.
me again. Good.
Wow.
I missed that. Thanks.
Welcome back to our home, our recording studio here. What brings you by, Mike?
Well, I mean, it was a cold and blustery Saturday afternoon, and I just thought, well, let's catch up with friends. And then all of a sudden, I heard you talking about something that I thought I possessed the skill set to try to see that through. So maybe we
you
can
are a man
try
with
to
a particular set of skills.
Maybe we can try to land a Richard Dean Anderson interview or soundbite. Maybe.
What are you saying here?
This sounds fake.
What are you talking about?
I am saying that we've talked in depth about where I live, central Pennsylvania, near Harrisburg, and recently I was looking on the internet machine and came across a Comic-Con, of which I've never gone to a Comic-Con before. But there's this Comic-Con in Monroeville, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh. And I'm looking at the guest list, and there's Jesse Ventura, and there's Scott Ian, there's Nancy Cartwright, and there's Richard Dean Anderson on that list. And Terry Hatcher is on the list as well. Oh. So when I saw those two, I thought, what better way to merge together my love of MacGyver and my hobby/obsession of mixing and mingling with celebrities than to go to the Pittsburgh Comic-Con at the end of March to meet Richard Dean Anderson and Terry Hatcher. MacGyver and Penny Parker all in one weekend.
That's pretty epic.
It's some of it has been paid for. So, barring some sort of catastrophe, this is going to happen.
So you're back as a hired gun for the show. You've taken your moment of darkness here for 6 months, but now you're back a little bit, and you're going to go out there and try and get us that elusive white whale of Richard Dean Anderson. So let's do this. But I think this is a fun idea, even if it turns out to be a disaster. I think it's still fun to see the road to Richard Dean Anderson, right? So how about we check in with you the show before, and then I guess you come back with hope. But how are you going to interview him? Because those things are normally just stand in line, get a picture taken, say a line, and walk away. How could you possibly get a chat?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it because I've been on the business end of many a celebrity meet and greet through day jobs and side gigs. So I know that the celebrity spends at best just a couple of seconds to smile, shake hands, quick salutation, and then the next person is up and running. I did take a professional approach and reached out to the organizer of the Comic-Con. We shared some info regarding the podcast with the hopes of trying to garner a little extra time with Richard Dean Anderson and maybe even Terry Hatcher. But I also know that I've got my phone, and I'm sure there's going to be a line involved with whatever I'm doing. So maybe I can make friends or something of the sort with the person in line behind me so that they could possibly capture this interaction on video. I also have a clip-on lav mic that I've used for sports interviews. So, I get that I can't break any laws by recording a conversation without, consent. But at the same time, in an event like that, I think the talent has to know there's plenty of people that are going to be recording, and there's multimedia platforms left and right. So I think I'm going to have the audio running. I'll have the clip-on mic, and if nothing else, you'll get the interaction, and maybe I don't even know what I want to say when I get there, because it's one thing, and I've met more celebrities than any one person should reasonably stake claim to. But many of those, legitimately, I'm not lying, many of them have just been in casual, like work-related interactions. So it's a lot different when you're not on the spot. And I think even the most seasoned pro is going to struggle in that. So like I'm going to be on the spot. Like when I'm in line and I paid, okay, everything is a paid price point here. Like this stuff isn't free. Richard Dean Anderson photo op, $85. Terry Hatcher photo op, just about the same. And then Richard's going to charge, I think it's like $80 for an autograph. So I've paid for the two photo ops. And then I'm going to pay for the Richard Dean Anderson autograph, either to have him sign the picture of us together or a MacGyver Funko Pop that I have. I haven't decided which yet. But at least I'll have a second opportunity with him. So, we'll see how it goes. And maybe between now and then we can either come up with something. I'll have a rehearsed line. Maybe I'll give him like an info card on the podcast, or I'll create a shirt. I really don't know. I've got my MacGyver shirt. I still have that, the black shirt with just MacGyver across the chest. Maybe I could take it one step further and at the Comic-Con just wear a black shirt and then have MacGyver across my chest.
Or you do like the Superman shirt rip reveal in front of him.
All right, so this is exciting. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. So we got this episode. We'll check in with you again one more time before the event, just to see how you're prepping and what questions you've got and if you've heard back, right? And if you're listening out there and you would like to put a little extra fuel in Mike's tank as he drives to Pittsburgh, now's a great time to join us at patreon.com/makingfunmacgyver. If you join at the $5, $10, or $15 level, if you join this month, we will send some of those proceeds to Mike. So he can get a Slim Jim at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, well, we'll see. The only thing I'm regretting right now in this entire conversation is that we didn't have a song set up for me and Jeff to sing against each other with.
This isn't the first hit on this, so we'll have an opportunity.
Yeah. We'll bring you back 2 more times.
We will sing what the number one song is on the convention week. Make you sing something modern.
Oh, my. God,
thank you, Mike. Thanks for stopping by. You know where the door is, right? That's Mike Garland and the Road to RDA, a series within a series, a 3-part series coming your way. That was part 1 over the next 2 episodes. So there you go. Jeff, we got another viewer mail letter here. I love the fact that we call it viewer mail. There's actually no real mail. There's no viewers for the most part. And I just said we got another letter. We got another letter here. So remember last episode, early retirement. I gave it a 9, loved it. You gave it a 4, did not like it. But it featured the sleazy and diabolical Matt Weber character. And it prompted a call to the MacGyver hotline, which, let me dust that thing off. Yeah, remember the MacGyver hotline? Yeah.
Have we checked to make sure it's plugged in?
No, it is plugged in.
Oh,
you know what
okay.
the thing? It's a Google number, and Google does like you have like I don't know every 60 days you got to like show them that it's like in use. So annoyingly, every 60 days I have to do something with it so they just don't shut it down. But it's all worth it when people like Claire Fisher give a call.
Hi, making fun of MacGyver. It's your favorite feminist, Claire Fisher, with a thought on the episode Early Retirement. As I'm sure you'll cover in your recap, there's a point where Mac goes to talk to his new boss, and the new boss is busy making a sexual comment about loving to watch Nikki leave his office. Mac looks uncomfortable at that moment, but he doesn't say anything because in the late 1980s, there really was nothing to say. The United States was not yet having a national conversation about how damaging sexual harassment can be in the workplace. So I'm just saying, if you're a man and you don't want to hear your boss making sexual comments like that, thank a feminist for stopping that practice. Keep on making fun of MacGyver and have a good day.
And I did point that out in the episode. And like Mac looking uncomfortable, and she's right. Like Mac looking uncomfortable is like the outer edge of what would have been, appropriate pushback for a man in that environment. But I also made the point in the episode, like even in the 80s, that was written in to make him seem like a scumbag. So we were like, things were moving at that point, but she's right. We hadn't gotten to the place where we are now where like you might get fired on the spot for a comment like that.
Right, let me play a little devil's advocate here because we need this, right? So it's not a big circle jerk. Matt Weber and Nikki Carpenter were dating at the time. So they're already dating. It's already known. So your girlfriend walks out of the office. You say to the other guy that she indicates she has a nice butt. Go ahead, tell me why it's so bad.
Time and place. If I were dating a coworker and we're having sex outside, I'm not going to come to work and talk about our sexual escapades. Work environment is for work things, and your outside personal life should be kept outside.
Jeff, let me take you back right now to Monday, February 1st, 1988. Jeff, on this date in 1988, 2/1/88, the 88 Winter Olympics were about to start in 12 days. And they were going to be held 600 miles away from where this episode was filmed in Calgary, Canada. Spoiler, this episode was not filmed in Minnesota, where Mac supposedly goes back to. Just a quick little bit about the 88 Winter Olympics. That was the one with like Katharina Witt, German figure skater, and Debbie Thomas, the Black American figure skater. That's where those two kind of had a lot of fame. Also, some fame in the 88 Winter Olympics, the Jamaican bobsled team making their debut, who were in the movie in 1993 movie Cool Runnings, right?
Yeah, so every 90s kid remembers Cool Runnings.
Mm-hmm. A brief moment of mourning here. I know we didn't get to the number one song yet or the movie, but mourning in respect for someone who died kind of tragically, definitely tragically on this day, Heather O'Rourke. Do you know the name Heather O'Rourke, Jeff?
I don't.
Okay. Child actress who had her breakthrough role starring as Carol Ann Freeling in Poltergeist.
Oh, the little girl?
Little girl. She would star again in Poltergeist 2, Poltergeist 3, which was released posthumously. She worked in television, appearing in the recurring roles of Heather Pfister on the comedy series Happy Days, one of my all-time favorites, and Melanie in the sitcom Webster. And this poor girl, Jeff, at 12 years old, died following 2 cardiac arrests. Her cause of death later being ruled as congenital stenosis of the intestine complicated by septic shock. So I always feel bad when I think about that. So rest in peace, Heather O'Rourke. Died far too soon at 12 years old, but on this date in 1988. I saw that. That's why I wanted to mention that. The number one movie again is Good Morning Vietnam. Talked about it last time. It's not?
No, that's not how you say that movie.
Okay, go ahead.
Good Morning Vietnam.
And the number one song in the U.S. is Need You Tonight by Australian rock band INXS. Releases their first single from their 1987 album Kick, arguably the band's signature song. In INXS's official autobiography, band member Andrew Farris said the famous riff to the song appeared suddenly in his head while waiting for a cab to get to the airport to fly to Hong Kong. He asked the cab driver to wait a couple of minutes while he grabbed something from his motel room. In reality, he went up to record the riff and came back down an hour later with the tape to a very annoyed driver.
Hey, hold on a second. Just leave it running.
I wonder if that cab driver knows he waited on Need You Tonight. And one more, I hate to just bring us down again, but one more just sad coincidence I noticed. So Michael Hutchence, lead singer of INXS, killed himself. He hung himself.
On accident.
Well, I don't know if it's on accident. There's some controversy about that, but I don't think it's officially listed as an accident. And the number one movie, so that's the number one song, right? And the lead singer, and then the number one movie, Good Morning Vietnam, and Robin Williams dying the same way.
Not on accident.
Terrible, kind of irony, coincidence there. But I don't know. We need you to sing a little bit of this now to take us out of this funk. We've paid our respects to these fallen celebrities, and now Jeffrey Hess singing "Need You Tonight" by INXS.
All you got is this moment. 21st century's yesterday. You can care all you want. Everybody does, yeah, that's okay. So slide over here and give me a moment. Your moves are so raw. I've got to let you know. I've got to let you know. You're one of my kind. I need you tonight.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was amazing.
'Cause I'm not sleeping. There's something about
that song doesn't do much for me. INXS didn't do a whole lot for me, but what's that slow song? It's a really good, Never Tear Us Apart. That's a really good song. So it's Monday, it's February 1st, 1988. And on 8 o'clock that night on ABC, it's MacGyver Season 3, Episode 13, Thin Ice.
Blades of Steel.
That's going to startle me every time.
And Jeff, before I hand over the reins to you, knowing this episode was filmed in Vancouver, again, I reached out to some people. Actually, on IMDb, there's one person that reviewed this episode, and he says,
Is it Bova? Is it
no,
Bevo's
it's not
back?
that.
Oh,
I love the way you remember that name.
he was my favorite.
It's not Bevo, but it's someone who says he was an extra in the rink that day. He says he was an extra in Canada, in Vancouver, as they were filming it. And I actually reached out to him. His name is Rick. And he actually had some audio of the hockey game that they played that day. It's amazing. He gave me actual audio recordings of the ice action from 1988. So I'll be sprinkling it in throughout this episode.
That's
You'll just have to be
amazing.
ready. Yeah, it is amazing. You'll just have to be ready for it. So,
Because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of hockey play-by-play in
a lot
this.
of hockey.
I think if you took that out, it wouldn't even make the whole length of the episode.
And it's really exciting to hear ice action. But now I hand over the reins of the show to the next level of MacGyver narrators, the gentleman, Jeffrey Hess.
Who doesn't love some hot ice action? We begin in what appears to be the cold-ass streets of Minnesota, where there are signs everywhere about the college hockey championships, including one on a plumber that said Raider Rooter, which I thought was pretty funny. But MacGyver explains he's in town to help his old college team win the championship.
Morrison takes the puck to the blue line. Randor trailing on the flight.
Like most kids growing up in Minnesota, I could skate before I could walk. So when my old coach sent a call for help, I jumped at the chance to come home and coach his team through the state championship playoffs. The Raiders had fought through a hard season to find themselves in this best-of-3 final against the Waverly Hawks. All I had to do was keep them on track. The hockey was the easy part. The hard part was the team's key player, number 17, Derek Kirby. He was the team's biggest asset and my biggest problem. And as usual, right there at home in the penalty box.
He was the team's biggest ass, all right. And sometimes it takes me a couple sets to step up what the nut of the plot is in this, and that's it right there. This is all about MacGyver straightening out this wayward young man and preventing him from making the mistakes that MacGyver says he made that cost him his hockey career. In the stands appears a professional scout who both the announcer speaks to and awkwardly implies that Derek Kirby would be able to play in the NHL. I love it. He comes up and does a couple things on the mic, and the announcer's like, all right, now get out of here. So another player cheats on Kirby and causes Kirby to get into a fight. And that's when the announcer tells us that Derek Kirby had been a member of the U.S. Olympic team before getting in fights on the ice and getting kicked off the team. So he heads to the tunnel after a kid breaks his skate and they lose the game. And they're all outside eating ice cream outside the ice and wieners, and they're taunting Kirby about being a hothead and stuff like this and giving him a hard time. And his dad tries to smooth it over, but Mac tells the truth here. He's like, no, Kirby's got to get a better handle on himself. And that's kind of where we start, which is the dad wants Kirby to be in the NHL. Kirby kind of doesn't want to be, and there's a sleazy scout hanging around, and Mac is trying to sort this all out.
At this point, are you like, okay, not a bad opening, but where's the bomb going to be? Or who's the foreign agent that's going to come and kill Derek? I mean, right? Like,
how long until the ice melts? When is the roof going to collapse? Are there any women giving birth? Is there diamonds under the ice? Is the ice like a metaphor for diamonds?
Golden eagles in peril somewhere that we need to hang glide to.
I'm a man of a certain age at this point, and immediately I sense, oh no, we're gonna have heartbreaking sports story here, and the tear ducts are starting to churn.
Oh no,
they're not quite pumping yet, but they're primed and they're ready to go. So we find out why Mac is here to fill in for the old coach who has had some kind of illness or cardiac thing, and he's in the hospital. And Mac goes to see him and say, hey, we lost again, and Kirby is being a jerk, and I can't have control on him. And the coach says that he's been listening in on the game with his little transistor radio that he's not supposed to have. So that's why we find out that Mac is there, covering for this coach who's sick. Afterwards, Mac goes to the body shop where Kirby's dad works, and he's trying to talk him out of bringing these professional scouts around. Mac thinks that this team he wants to play for is a dirtbag, and he's not playing hockey the right way. And Mac says all of this is distracting. Kirby's already in trouble. He needs to focus on hockey and playing hockey right. And the dad is just absolutely deluded about what a kind of a jerk that his son is on the ice and what a poor player he is. And Mac tells him that. He's like, Kirby's a bad seed. He's not acting well. And the dad is only focused on the money that his son could make in the NHL. And at that point, he threatens MacGyver, and MacGyver begs him to back down.
I've seen my boy cry twice in his life. Once when his mama died. And the other time was when he got off that plane from Finland. I ain't ever going to see him hurt that way again. I'm going to do everything in my power, everything I can to see he gets something decent in his life. And it's hockey, man. I mean, it's professional hockey. It's the only way he's going to get it.
Get what? A big paycheck for being a hitman on skates? That's all the Mustangs are looking for.
At least it's a chance for something better than this, right? Let me tell you something, MacGyver. You get in the way of that. And so help me.
Don't say it, Mr. Kirby. Please. Don't say it.
One of the things I find interesting about this episode, and that is the first end of the first Axminster right there. One of the things I find interesting about this episode is Mac is mentoring men older than him and men younger than him. So he's trying to counsel the father into how to be a better father and focus on his son's need while also focusing on getting the son to focus on his own needs. Because as we're going to find out, the son is very driven by the father who we hear there and his passion. And, MacGyver's trying to help them both sort out to be who they are and to kind of get off this collision course that they're on.
This is kind of a landmark episode for MacGyver because unless we're mistaken, this is what, our 57th? This is the first episode where no one's life is in danger. There's no national security threats. There's no danger. There is no danger in this episode. Have we had an episode of MacGyver where it's just him juggling emotional issues for multiple people and that's it?
I can't recall one.
No.
It's also a good time to mention that this is also, I think, the first episode with no MacGyverisms.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a McGimmick episode with no McGimmicks, which I kept waiting for something to happen, like someone needs their skate fixed or something like that, but there's none of that at all.
IMDb says this episode includes only one MacGyverism. And I think the only thing they could be talking about is the little body shop spring thing.
Yeah,
but
I didn't
that's
even
not a
bother to look it
MacGyverism.
up. No, it's not. No. And I believe me, I'm willing to stretch the definition to kind of make things fit, but it seemed more appropriate to give this one a 0 MacGyverisms because, as you say, there's no peril. This is all about MacGyver's emotional skills, and you learn about a little bit of MacGyver lore about how he lost his hockey career.
But you know what? I'm actually somewhat okay with it because we just had the scientist who the whole world was going to be at risk if that disease got out. And then nuclear secrets or whatever, the foreign with early retirement. That was a heavy episode, kind of, right? I'm actually okay with, you know what? Let's just have MacGyver stay local, play some hockey. Richard Dean Anderson is like, you know what? The Olympics are going to be coming in Calgary. This will be a perfect. Let's have hockey be the theme of an episode. Well, ABC probably had the Winter Olympics. I'm going to bet you. So they time it right, and I'm like, I'm okay with it. But I tell you, they've got a similar target. This episode, it's machismo. It's that finger quotes masculinity. Once again, just like with last episode, that is the target here. They're saying, ease off, men. Like, relax and have integrity.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think that has made the whole series like translate well from then until now, is that what would have been seen as, I mean, I guess MacGyver's position is still kind of seen as like leading edge of like liberal maleism. But that's, I think, why it has aged so well, because it's not regressive in that way.
Yeah.
So we begin Axminster 2 and we're back. Oh, another thing, tons of Richard Dean Anderson skating. That can't all be a stand-in. That's lots of legit RDA skate action. Yeah. And he's good at it, I think. Yeah. I don't know anything about skating. I assume he's good. No, he doesn't fall down. He is good?
He's good. I mean, he's going backwards. He's clearly in that drill later on in the episode. He's dropping down, showing them all the, I don't know what those are, evasive techniques or just ways to stay agile on the ice. He clearly like wanted an episode. You know what? Let me just play some hockey. Can we just write an episode about me playing hockey? And can we I just want to hang out at this rink for a week as we film. And they gave it to him.
This is also a good time to do a little deep Sam Jordan lore and note to everyone that Sam Jordan used to have a show called The Athletic Supporters.
Oh my God. Wow.
And that was, it was all a sports focused show. So if we need sports knowledge, it comes up often in the show, but Sam is an experienced sports guy.
I'm surprised you remember the name of that show. It was the Athletic Supporters Show.
It's very funny.
This is the 2000, 2001, 02. And then I think I was fired from it because I wanted the show to be too funny. I was the program director of the station, and they did fire me and then replaced me with some other guy. But then a few months after that, they flipped the format of the station from sports talk to Spanish radio.
You were getting fired one way or the other.
Someone was getting fired, right? But I wanted to bring this kind of entertainment to sports talk, and some people were like, "Yeah, it's great," and a lot of people are like, "Wait, how come you're not just talking about balls and strikes and touchdowns again?" I'm like, let's have some fun.
You're about 5 to 8 years too early for that. So we begin Axminster 2, and we're back at practice, and everyone who's on the team is tired of this guy Derek Kirby being both ineffective and a showboat, like constantly getting in trouble and being very into himself. And Mac is trying to restrain everybody, but it's really, really difficult. So they start by working on their teamwork to try and make Kirby more in play. And they are working on a critical play that features Kirby, the all-time scoring guy, passing the puck. Like, this is symbolic of him giving up his selfishness and putting his own personality on the side. So he's got to pass the puck in order to win the game. At the end of practice, they're playing bubble hockey, and Mac is kind of trying to connect a little more with Kirby and figure out what's driving him, what's his motivation, why is he behaving this way, what's going on in his head. And he begs Derek to clean up his game. But Derek explains it's not as easy as that.
God, my dad was proud. I got a letter from the governor congratulating me as an ambassador of sportsmanship. Dad borrowed money from the bank to throw me this big send-off party. Filled this place to the rafters. And then I blew my chance at the Olympics by playing the only hockey I know. I gotta go for that NHL contract, MacGyver. I can't let my dad down again.
That's great. Go for the NHL. But Derek, make a team pick you for the right reasons. Make them pick you for your abilities as a hockey player, not a fighter.
It's all I can do, MacGyver. Hockey's in my blood.
I understand that. Just take the blood out of your hockey.
Are you moved?
I like hockey. Canada loves its hockey. One of the things I'll never understand and never agree with and never condone is the fighting in hockey and how it's just part of the game, and I just don't get it. I just don't like it.
They only got rid of that like within the last decade.
Did they get rid of it? Yeah.
Yes, it's outlawed in the NHL now. Like I've seen a handful of hockey games, and they're really awesome in person. because the rink is tiny.
Yep.
It does not play on TV at all, in my opinion. But I saw one in college, and it was a both benches clearing brawl situation.
Mhm.
And that was really awesome. But it's not a sport if it's just fighting at that point.
Yeah.
So Kirby feels really in debt to his dad for, like pushing him along this hockey career that it's not even clear that Kirby himself wants. And Mac is saying, this team, this Mustangs that's coming around, they're kind of dirtbags. So why is this bad team? Have you ever thought about why only this team with what he says is a fairly bad reputation, very Mac way, instead of just saying that they're bad, fairly bad? But at that point, the dad walks in and once again threatens Mac a second time, more or less saying, leave my son alone. You're here to coach, keep the coaching to the ice, and let me take care of my son. So they are back the next day. This is game 2 of their 3-game series. And the announcer is talking up how important Kirby is to the team, saying they lost game 1. If Kirby hadn't gotten ejected, he might have been able to win the game for them. And everyone is roughing this kid up. But somehow, I assume through Mac's stellar guidance and coaching, he's maintaining his composure. He's not fighting back. So Kirby is still showboating a little bit. He's trying to impress a talent scout for the team and these coaches for the Mustangs that are there. And it's not doing so great. He's still getting himself into trouble, but he's maintaining his composure.
Wait, I've got. Remember Rick from Vancouver? I've got some audio of this.
Oh, more. Okay, good.
And if you want to do, maybe we can do play-by-play of. But this is actual hockey audio from that night.
Face off.
Okay, so that.
All right, Kirby wraps around it, sends it out to Johnson. Johnson sends it over to McNeil. McNeil looking, no shot, passes off to Kirby. Kirby, who? Schultz.
Kirby loops around, puts it in the short end. We cut briefly back to the hospital where the coach is fighting with the doctors. That whole side plot doesn't really matter. So just making a mind of that. But he does do a funny thing where he predicts what MacGyver is going to be saying to Kirby, who's showboating and getting him in the trouble, and then MacGyver says that thing in the locker room to Kirby, and he's chewing him out. Like, we are a team here. We've been practicing these sets, and you lost the puck because you didn't follow the plays. Everything we did together, and on their way back out onto the ice for the third period, guess who's there? It's the sleazy agent. And he pulls Kirby aside and says, I brought these coaches here. You better do what it takes.
What do you call that out there, boy?
Just let me play.
Well, you better start playing. And I mean, I want to see some hard and fast action. I didn't haul those Mustang coaches down here to watch you try out for the ice capades.
Look, we can't win with me in the penalty box.
Who cares if you win? You're making a fool out of me and your old man. Now, I want to see some of the hard-nosed hockey that's going to prove your Mustang material. You got 20 minutes to go out there and bash some heads.
Really hate that guy. I hate this guy. So the other team continues to antagonize Kirby, and eventually the kid gives in and they start a fight. And that's when Kirby shoves another player and he turns around, hits his head on the goalpost and is knocked unconscious. And the referee is absolutely entirely unfazed by any of this. But that injury ends the second Axminster.
Let's do some housekeeping here on actors. Jeff Schultz is a Canadian actor and filmmaker, born in 1965. So I guess he's
Good
22. Name. He's 22, 23 here. Some of his television credits include MacGyver, 21 Jump Street, Night Heat, Street Legal, and as a writer for his work on North of Pittsburgh. And he was a Genie Award nominee for Best Original Screenplay. So I looked up Jeff Schultz. He pretty much stopped in the mid-90s, did nothing. He was from Canada, and then did one more straight-to video kind of TV kind of thing a couple of years ago, which was kind of a funny trailer. But this is Jeff Schultz. So you can tell they're using a lot of Canadian actors here. You look in those stands, you got the mullets, you got the big poofy hairdos on the women. It is the late 80s for sure. And the sports announcers, played by Steve Armitage. He was a popular and long-running sports announcer on radio and TV for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and particularly for Hockey Night in Canada, which is equivalent to like Monday Night Football here in terms of popularity. So that's 2 Axminsters down, 2 to go. It's a good time for commercial break.
It's another unforgettable moment with Making Fun of MacGyver.
How many episodes of Making Fun of MacGyver will we actually record and produce? I say we will do 17 episodes. And something will happen. We'll just be like, this sucks. iTunes will take it down. One of us will die or something. But
I'd prefer iTunes to take it down.
Keep listening for more finger quotes unforgettable moments on Making Fun of MacGyver.
Dad,
Mm-hmm.
why is grass green?
Because of chlorophyll, honey.
Dad,
Yep.
is the moon really made of cheese?
Oh, son. The moon is made from molecules.
Dad, the 9X Yellow Pages has always had more information than any competing directory. Why would anyone need another? Dad?
The 9X Yellow Pages. It's the one you've always had. It's the only one you need.
the Yellow Pages and the White Pages.
Who could remember? I mean, who could forget?
9X, a Northeast company.
Can you imagine right now if somebody were like, I'm going to release a book for free to everybody and it's going to have all of your addresses and phone numbers in it? People would lose their freaking minds.
Maybe.
That's a doxing. They would call it a door-to-door doxing doc.
Interesting. Yeah.
Also, another thing about this commercial, did people in the 80s not change their clothes when they got home from work?
Jeff on a rant. Go, Jeff, go.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, don't smoke that pipe around those kids, you lunatic.
Just how many things can we find wrong with a 1988 commercial? Jeff is on a mission.
And also, one more, the leaves on the grass aren't technically green because of the chlorophyll. They're green because they absorb every spectrum of light except for green.
Oh, snap.
You're seeing the reflection of the light. The chlorophyll itself isn't green. It's filtering out other colors of the light spectrum except for green.
This is the scientist talking now, so he's dropping
what? This
knowledge.
guy's made me real mad by smoking around his kids.
So anyway, and then there's a new promo for us. That's from, do you know what episode that's from, the promo? You should.
Episode 1.
Of course.
Like
that's
the
it.
Getting to know you one.
That's it. The first one.
I know. One reason I know is because I'm not in it because my audio is so horrible. Please don't go back to our archives.
Well, you could hear you laughing a little bit there.
Yeah,
And
that was a tell.
We all took predictions. I said we'll do 17 before we get tired of it. Mike said I think you had the highest prediction at 25 or 26 episodes.
Yeah, I thought we'd do a season.
And here we are, 76 later. So,
yep.
All right. Let's see now. Some nuclear action is going to happen here, right? So a terrorist going to come in, start with a machine gun, some kidnapping, something. Yeah. Something's going to happen, right? At this
right. So the ice is. You don't know this. They don't say it in the episode, but the ice is getting thinner. And if anyone cuts through the ice, there's.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
I'll make it up on the fly here. So we begin Axminster 3 at the hospital with our friendly lady doc who is hanging around, and the other player is still in a coma, and she tells Mac and Kirby that the players might be permanently disabled from this mild bump to the noggin that he took.
Way to go,
in this fight
Derek.
I know, right? God, Derek. And this has really upset Derek Kirby, which is kind of understandable. I mean, I don't know if the guy who's probably injured a lot of people in his career, but he heads back to his dad's dumpy body shop, and he's trying to, more or less, quit in front of his dad. And at that exact moment, that's when this dirtbag agent shows up with a pro hockey jersey with Kirby's name stitched on the back. He's like, they loved you. The violence was great. They want to bring you in. And the dad is ecstatic. Oh yeah, he's going to accept automatically. And the coach says, all right, well then you have to start tomorrow. And Kirby's like, that's the finals. This is the state championship. I can't not do that. And the guy goes, what, who cares if you win or lose? It's just one non-state championship game. And that really puts Kirby over the edge. And he refuses the deal. He slaps the guy's hand away and he marches away from me. He says, I'm not going to take this deal from you. I don't want anything to do with it. And the scout is like, fine, then we can take the name off the jersey. It was pretty easy to put it on. And this leads to the climactic confrontation between Kirby and his dad, where Kirby fully says he's absolutely done. And the two have a shouting match.
Are you nuts? You realize what you just did?
Something I should have done when I got back from Finland.
What the hell are you talking about, Derek?
I'm quitting.
Oh, Derek.
The Mustangs, the Raiders, the whole works.
Come on.
I can't do this anymore.
You can't just up and throw it all away, son. You wanted this your whole life.
No! You wanted it.
Me. I wanted it. I had you in a half Nelson since you were 8 years old. You didn't want any of this stuff. You didn't want the medals, the championships, all these beautiful trophies. You didn't want any of this stuff. Is that it? No.
He knocks over the trophy.
What kind of trophy do I get if Eddie dies?
It's amazing the amount of integrity. One MacGyver integrity injection. A couple of chats with MacGyver, and Derek is now a fully changed human being. And he's got the ethics of Mother Teresa and Gandhi right here.
It's funny you mentioned this. There's a couple times during the episode where MacGyver has to break up fights between Kirby and the other like teenage or college age players, and it reminds me of that season 1 episode where he's out with the roughneck teens, and they start fighting. He like kicks dirt up in their faces to try and get them to calm down. So Mac's got a lot of skill with counseling teenagers. So the sound there was Kirby throwing.
If you want to fight, I'm trying to.
Oh my god! I'm like, what the hell? So the crash sound was Kirby knocking over this trophy case that his dad had proudly displayed. We're back at the hockey rink again, and Kirby's not on the ice, and he's confronting MacGyver to tell MacGyver now he's also quitting. And this is when we get our nice little bit of MacGyver lore in the background. Mac cautions Kirby not to give up on his dream because he's not going to get another shot. And that's when he tells us that he lost his career because of repeated injuries because he was playing too hard and not smart enough. In the very MacGyver way, he was injuring himself and not other people. But that's how we know now that MacGyver's hockey career ends, because throughout the whole season, it's implied that he was excellent at hockey. And even in this episode, the coach says, you could have been great, but you weren't.
And little known Mac fact, another reason he retired from hockey, he actually played not with a stick, but with a Swiss Army knife.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
That would be skill level high.
I think it was the bottle opener attachment. He stuck that out, would bend over all the way down the ice, and he would hit the puck with the Swiss Army knife.
Because he's so low to the ice, the other players had a really hard time getting to him, and they were just, pucking back and forth. He had really good stick skills.
I wish Rick from Vancouver had some footage of that, but no, we just got what
That'd be impressive. It would be. And believe it or not, that's the end of Axminster 3. And Axminster 3.
And the bomb is coming. I can't wait. It's just they're really pushing the climax late in this one, but some terrorist is going to drop in through the roof, and I can't wait for you to tell me about it.
Yeah, I was really ramped up the excitement as they kept cutting to the ice, melting thinner and thinner and thinner. I'm like, it's going to break at any second. So we go back to Axminster 4. We begin Axminster 4, and they're at practice again, and Kirby appears looking very shy and apologizes with contrition and says he wants them back on the team, and they take him back. Good for you, Kirby.
Yeah.
So Mac goes to the back to the body shop to try and talk to the dad one more time to tell him, you got to keep this guy away. You got to fix this for your son. I've got him part of the way, like he needs his dad to get him over the hump. But the dad really wants nothing to do with MacGyver, who he interprets as having put a wedge between him and his son. And MacGyver quickly and effortlessly fixes a mechanical problem that the dad had been working on in basically no time at all, which could be seen as humiliating. But in this case, the dad sees it as okay, you're on my level. You're not just some joker. You know what you're doing around mechanics.
And we are not going to Vern for this, right? We're not going to the Vern Sounder?
Are we going to Vern?
It's your call. You say no, right? Because all he does, right? That's not a MacGyverism.
No, it's not a MacGyverism.
Okay.
No, all he does is he clips a spring to make it a shorter spring. What am I supposed to do with that?
That's not a MacGyverism, people.
No, it's not. He opens a flashlight where there is if he reached into the parts bin, is that a MacGyverism? No, he has to turn something into something else.
Well, if it was a soon parts part, that's different. But
if it were a soon parts part, it would probably fail.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why they have their name like that. How quickly are their parts going to fail soon?
Well, I'm looking back. This is not the first time he hasn't had one. I'm looking back at Friends, the Friends episode with Claire, but I believe is that the flashback one?
I think we didn't do them because they were rehashes.
Oh, they were clips.
They had been done before. Yeah.
Dalton, Jack of Spies, I see 0 for 0, and I gave that one a 1. But I see it looks like this might be the second time, but it could be nitpicking if there weren't any in that one. But this is there's no MacGyverisms here. So, but we're fine with that, I think.
So the dad is completely unmoved by this because he's still mad at MacGyver, and MacGyver burns him. He brings out a flamethrower and just roasts this dad to a crisp, saying that, what he needs is a father right now. Mac being very good about reaching out to people in that way.
And Mac is he's got these muscles freshly used from Hell Week. Just a few weeks ago, Mac taught another father how to properly love his son. So he's really working those muscles.
There's male healing happening all over the place. And so we head back to the rink for the final game, and Mac is rallying the team in honor of Coach Turk to try and win the championship. And he starts to read out the Olympic pledge, the Olympic sportsmanship pledge. And wouldn't you know it, Derek Kirby knows it from memory. And he finishes it, and there's an emotional, uplifting swell. And out of the hallway comes not just the coach, but two more people, Stubbins and Marlowe.
I was surprised to see them there.
No, it's not. It's actually two coaches from Team USA. So not only has the coach gotten himself out of the hospital, he has brought the Olympic coaches with him, saying, we're going to give Kirby a second chance.
The power of MacGyver knows no bounds.
Yep. And that is the end of Axminster 4. Axminster 5 is almost entirely hockey. So I'll do my best to handle this.
Well, I've got a clip of some right here. Let's see. I got.
Not gonna lie, it sounds like more Blades of Steel.
Oh wait, that's a goal right there. That's the goal. It's overtime. Amazing. Thank you, Rick from Vancouver.
So what is the most important part of this whole Axminster 5, which is like 10 minutes of hockey at the end of this? So there's two things. Is Kirby looks up for his dad, and his dad is not in the stands. So at that point, Kirby makes the decision to play right and impress the Team USA people. They run the setup play where Kirby was supposed to pass before, and he didn't. But this time, he does. Another player scores, and they win the game. So it's he finally gives over to his. Why am I feeling goosebumps, man? Why are men so affected by this kind of stuff? Or me? Why am I so affected by this kind of stuff?
This was not registering.
Even recounting it when he's like passing the puck and the other guy's going to shoot, and I'm like, my God, teamwork. So the other teammate scores. The coaches are impressed, and this is how that sounds.
Kirby makes the pass. Johnson is moving into the slot. Johnson has the puck. Lots of time to tee it up. Johnson with the shot. He scores!
So this music continues for an extended period of time. Oh, that's the Team USA coach. So he's going to get on the team again, or it seems like that. Kirby looks around. His dad is still not there. But guess who shows up at the very last moment? As the episode's winding down, the father walks on out from behind there and comes down to the ice, and they awkwardly share a moment of reconciliation, and that is the end of the episode. This is them reconciling.
Jeff's reaching for his hanky.
Yep.
Looks at his son. Come here, son. Come here, son.
It must be it.
You know I love you, right? 15 more seconds.
Yeah. They're all partying. They're rallying and celebrating. The dad is like awkwardly giving him, because he's, he's like a 1950s dad, so they're like awkwardly play fighting instead of hugging and doing what like dads these days would do. But everyone wins at the end except for the sleazeball coaches and the agent, and they can lose because they suck.
And any viewers who are expecting action and international intrigue and drama.
Well, I'm looking at IMDb, and they tell me there is a deleted scene that was from the end of this where the thin ice is supposed to break, exposing a nuclear bomb.
Oof.
Yeah,
it was a two-parter, maybe.
Yeah. Well, MacGyver disarms it with a blade and a stick and a headband, which would have been really cool to watch, but they just ran out of time, so they had to cut it.
So as they're skating around, and it's real intense moment, like I said, this is a small little rink. This probably holds like 300, 400 people to watch any kind of hockey. There's like not a lot of seats there. But there's tons of people up walking around the outside portion of the seats, like with like 10 seconds left in the game. So they clearly shot this footage and didn't tell us people to sit down, because you need everyone in their seats cheering, watching. And there's like dozens of people just walking around the perimeter of the inside portion of the rink.
Right, because it's implied like this is a last second shot, and they win on the last moment because of Derek Kirby's selfless play.
And the hockey rink where the playoff game is being held is missing the 4 face-off circles. There should be 2 on each end of the rink. And it is also missing the center line. I did not notice that because you see we're not fresh on our icing.
Our combined, our combined hockey knowledge could fill a rink.
But that doesn't prevent us from ridiculing it based on some IMDb comment.
Doesn't prevent me from pretending like I knew it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've recapped it. We've ridiculed this one, but now on a scale of 0 to 10 mullets, it's time to rate Thin Ice.
Blades of Steel.
Name's MacGyver.
You know what? You would think an episode that has no real intensity or no threat of danger, no MacGyverisms, no real travel, you would think it would be like a 0 or a 1 or a 2 or a 3. But I guess it's still, I'm riding on the goodwill wave of season 3 and the fact that I've enjoyed a bunch of season 3. And I feel like after you heard my comments on early retirement, the show is becoming more of a series, more of like a drama that carries over from week to week. So he just had these huge, events in the last few weeks. Really every event, right? Every show on MacGyver is like a huge thing that could almost shape the change of the world, or multiple people are going to die. I'm okay with this. I was actually okay with just an after-school special. That's all this is. This is an ABC after-school special where MacGyver is going to teach emotional lessons to multiple men. That's all it is. Now, don't get me confused. Don't confuse it. I did not think this is a good episode or a great episode, but I'm okay with it. It was handled fine. It was handled decent. My problem is I don't want to watch that much B-roll of people playing hockey. I don't want to spend even a minute in an episode of watching people play hockey or any sport. There's something about fictionalized sports that doesn't do it for me. I generally don't like sports movies because I want my sports to be real and believable and in real time. I don't want to know the outcome because it's always going to be your team wins, unless it's Rocky 1 where the guy loses. But no, it's fine.
Or Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings.
They lose at the end of Cool Runnings too.
Do they lose? Well, sure they do, right? Because that's the story. True. But so I got 5. I got 5 mullets.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I guess I didn't catch how much hockey there was in it until I started recapping it. I'm like, wow, it's hard to describe. And I was tempted to give it a slightly higher score than what you gave it. Or I was going to give it a higher score than I'm about to give it. But I really enjoyed it. I liked that the lowering of the stakes. I thought that the acting was really terrific between the father and the son, worked really well, and the triangle relationship with him and MacGyver was all really terrific. I didn't find it boring at all, although I think it was a little confusing to recap. To me, this is like kind of a nice MacGyver sweet spot where occasionally you do have to take down the intensity a little bit and make these stories a little bit smaller, a little bit more reasonable. The guy can't be saving the world from bombs every week. Yep. And I thought it worked really well, especially learning that it's in conjunction with the Olympics. I was going to go 8, but I think I'm going to let your criticism weigh on me a little bit. I'm going to give it 7 mullets out of 10. It's a 7 mullet affair.
All right.
And this season, even like the not great episodes are good.
Yeah.
Like even though I didn't like the one before with the guy and everything, that doesn't just narrow it down. Even though I didn't like the last episode with Matt Weber and all that crap, it's still better than basically every episode that was in the first 2 seasons. And this is, even if it's the low part of season 3, it's still superior in the 2 seasons that came before it. So that's just the thing that keeps jumping out at me about this season, and everybody says this, is just even the bad ones are good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my 5, your 7, added up, divided by 2, and that gives us
8.
This one's rated 6 out of 10 mullets.
So let me just quickly give you the combined averages for all episodes this season. 6, 8, 6, 5, 3. Okay, then it gets hot. 7, 8, 7, 6, 6, 7, 7, and now 6.
Wow. What was the 3?
The 3 was Fire and Ice. That's the introduction of Nikki as there with Jules and whatnot. And Nikki had just been
the reintroduction of Nikki.
Right.
Now that she's no longer Lisa.
Exactly. That chick is a real banana boat. Is what we've got there. Fiona Jackson. Fiona Jackson under fire. That one.
Yeah, I remember.
Let's crunch the numbers now. And this will be an easy one. Jeff, how many MacGyverisms were there in this episode?
Well, he's batting 1,000 in this episode, but he took no cuts.
Yeah.
So he's 0 for 0.
All right. Now, how many times did someone say MacGyver? Now, those chats with Dad loved to drop it in there.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
And people, I'm thinking it's a lot because I noticed a couple times where people were saying it, like referencing him and like the coach and the agent were talking about it. I'm going to go with 23.
All right. That's what we had last week. But this week, it bumps up to 26.
Okay.
26 times.
If we're playing by Price is Right rules.
Yep. And the average is over 20 per episode this season. How about the most make fun-ofable moment? You would think in a sports-centric episode where people have to play sports, play pretense, there would be a lot, but not too much. I don't know. What do you think was the silliest part of this episode?
Maybe the player hitting his head on the goal.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Because the first shot, as the guy's getting close, he actually reaches out with his hand.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that, but he grabs it with his hand, and then they cut to a close-up where his hand is not there.
I don't know. I mean, this doesn't lend itself to, like, goofy comedy.
Well, it should, with Canadian actors pretending to play hockey and,
Wait,
mullets.
Canadians can't act? Is there, like, some I mean, like...
Well, they're not getting the cream of the crop. They're getting Vancouver's best, who can also skate, right? Like,
yeah.
How big could the talent pool there be?
You'd be like a Vancouver 10, but like a California 7.
Exactly.
I got it. Yeah.
Well, that concludes this one. Any more thoughts from you, Jeff?
No. I mean, I remain constantly impressed with the quality of this season, so I'm excited for next week.
You're enjoying it. Good. Thank you for your fine effort, and thank you for listening out there. We sincerely hope we've entertained you a bit today. And now some verbal gratitude for the handful of folks who have chosen to support us on Patreon.
Big thanks to Bo in Fort Myers, Florida, who's getting ready to co-host with us on episode 15, The Negotiator. That's
Looking
just
forward to
one episode away.
Claire in New Jersey, who wonders, how is it that MacGyver can defuse bombs with paper clips but can't keep a girlfriend alive longer than 2 episodes? Go to deadfictionalgirlfriendsreport.com for the answer to that and more. She puts in a lot of work. Very cool site.
Caesar from Parts Unknown. Hail Caesar! And his generous backing to keep us cracking.
Christian in Norway, who recently got engaged, and he may be inviting us to that wedding.
Simon in Habo, Sweden, who thinks Trumbo's World is the best episode of MacGyver.
All right.
And now we've got a Sweden, a Norway. We just had a Finland follower. Hey, Finland follower, time to get on the Patreon bandwagon here so we can cover the whole Nordic region.
We're always looking for new friends, so please feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Email at makingfunofmacgyver@gmail.com. Leave a message on the hotline like Claire Fisher did at 904-419-3310. And if you'd like to throw something in the tip jar and get the perks that come with it, it's patreon.com/makingfunofmacgyver. But above all else, keep on coming back because we're going to keep making fun of MacGyver. So for Jeff, I'm Sam. And thanks again. We'll see you next time. Peace.
I'm gonna do everything in my power, everything I can to see that he gets something decent in his life. And it's hockey, man. I mean, it's professional hockey.
Blades of steel.
Let me tell you something, MacGyver. You get in the way of that. And so help me.
Don't say it, Mr. Kirby. Please, don't say it. Just take the blood out of your hockey.